Hi guys, it's Sufaro back again with the podcast, and today I'm joined by Tinashe.
Hey guys, it's good to be back in the new year. Is it still new? But yeah, good to be back.
Yeah, I know, right? Like a few weeks ago, we had Farai, and we're like, guys, we're back. Compliments of the new year, and we're like, wait, it's February.
Mm.
And we also have Limbikani joining us today from Pindula.
Hey, Deputy. Good to be back. Podcast.
Mm. So today we're going to be talking about remote working. So essentially, the ability to work from anywhere you are without having to go to an office. And this is something that we started doing last year, 2019. Why? Why did we start working remotely?
Whoa, what kind of a question is that? It's not clear. It's not clear if it's being rhetorical and you are still going on, or you actually want us to answer.
No, like genuinely, I know we started doing it, but if I was listening, I would instantly question, why did you start working remotely? Why did you close your office? You had an office and it works. It's a system that works. Why did you decide to start working from home or from a coffee shop or wherever you are?
Oh, okay. So just to be clear, by we mean Techzim and Pindula, which are related companies. They went fully remote last year. I think around January, most people were no longer coming to the office, but the office was still open. I was going to the office, I think, between January and April, but generally people were not coming in. After April, we completely shut down the office, kept it for a little bit, using it as storage and stuff. But in October last year, even that went away. So we are actually of no fixed abode. I just wanted to clarify that before going into the whys. And well, I don't want to start on with the whys because I was speaking too much. So maybe let me set up Limbikani for the fail.
Well, as to the why, I can only remember that it made sense to do it. There was no. I think we were clear that this is something that we wanted to try because a few people had been working remotely. I think one guy, especially at Pitul, had been working remotely for forever. He had always been a remote worker because he would work outside the 8 to 5 hours. But at that point, we were also like questioning a lot of things that we're doing and saying, do we need to do this? Do we need to do things this way? Is that the most efficient way of doing it, or we're just doing it because it has always been done that way? And we said, well, let's give this a try. Cost was an aspect, but we sort of understood that cost is not just rentals and the coffee machine or whatever. That cost is time as well, and time was a big thing. The time to commute to work, the interruptions, the looking like you're working and feeling like you're working, except at the end of the day, you sort of ask yourself how much you actually did that day. Meetings, they're easy to do when everyone is next to you. So it was cost, but not in just the rentals aspect of it. But we said, hey, let's do it and let's see. This might actually work.
Yeah. So especially time was the biggest one for me, really. that commute time. I was benefiting from the fact that I was staying close to the office. The office was actually in my neighborhood, so I didn't have much commute time. But even though, end of 2017, around the Christmas break, I was not going into the office during that break. And it dawned on me that, wow, I was getting so much more done in a day whilst I was at home, supposed to be on holiday, than I would when I was at the office. So that's when the tide started turning for me. It's a conversation that we had a little earlier than that, but we had not committed to it. But around that time, it started. My thoughts started shifting towards remote working. Just if I manage to do so much in a day because I'm on holiday at home, so perhaps the office is actually chowing a lot of my time. Those ad hoc meetings, so it's not just the commute time, it's the meetings that Limbikani was talking about. When you're in the same building, it's so easy for someone to walk over to you and say, hey, there's this, and it always sounds important.
Yeah.
Or even if you dismiss them, they've already interrupted you.
Yeah.
You can get back those few seconds, and then you need 20 to 30 minutes to get back into the groove again. So it was that. Yeah, I don't want to speak too much because I have so much. So you can cut in Rufaro and be rude. They all know you're rude.
Yeah. Well, I pretty much agree with you guys. So for me, the commute was the worst because I didn't like having to spend. I had to take 2 combis just to get to the office. So it would be one from home, and then I drop off somewhere, then I get another one to get closer to the office. And that will take me like an hour just to do if there's like heavy traffic. So it was that. It felt like I was always losing time when I knew that, well, if I'm at home where we have internet, I could keep doing the work. So why was I going to this building for things that I have at home? And then the distraction.
Yeah, I think that's also a thing. Sorry to cut you there.
Yeah.
Because already across the organization, we were already paying for people's internet at home. So everyone had internet at home, and also we are an online business. So it just dawned on us that it wasn't making sense that, you know what, we are already paying for internet, and people are leaving internet at home to come into the office to work on the internet.
Yeah.
So it wasn't making sense.
Looking back,
Sorry
it
to
doesn't
cut
make
you.
sense.
Yeah.
Well, I realized what I was gonna say is something that I enjoy about working remotely, which I guess was where we're going to go in. What have you guys been enjoying working remotely? I guess I'll start then. So the lack of distractions, I really like that. Like I'm in control of my time. So I started this thing where if I really want to get a lot of stuff done, I just switch off my phone, like turn it off the Wi-Fi, and I'm just on my laptop and I'm doing what I need to do. And I do this for like 2 hours. So I have this 2-hour block where if you really want to get a hold of me, you will call. And I know that very few people will call because it won't be that important. But if it's important, someone calls and I pick up immediately. I'm like, hey, what's up? Because, stuff could be burning and I'm busy looking at my laptop screen. So I like that aspect where I can't be easily distracted. And like what you were saying, most of the stuff isn't always answer me now. The answer usually can come 30 minutes later or an hour later. But that's great for me, the time. Apart from the distractions, also the time of being able to do the work anytime. So it's like with what I do specifically as a software developer, there are very few times where I need to be like working the same time as everyone else. Unlike if you're doing customer support, you have to be awake between 8 to 5. But for a developer, you could literally be sleeping during the day, and then you wake up at night and then you do that. Because sometimes you discover there's certain things that you can't do during the day. So like pushing to production, you would have to do it at midnight or 1 a.m. when there's low traffic. And if things break down, it won't affect the customers that much. So that's great for me. Whereas if I was going to an office, I would already spend the 8 hours at the office, and then I can't sleep in an office because it'll be like everyone else is seeing you and just sleeping. It just affects everyone else's like mood and how they're working. So you'd have the 8 hours at work at the office, and then you'd get home, and then you knew you had to wake up again at 12 midnight because you have to do the actual work that you need to do. So you often find yourself tired, especially after the whole commute in the morning and going back home. So I'd say
it is draining, yeah.
Yeah, so I'd say for me is those two things.
So for me, well, there's obviously those same things that you're talking about, being in control of my time, and yeah, choosing when I want to work. I'm also not always customer facing, so yeah, so sometimes I get to manage my time, and it's just been helping me. Like, so when we're at the office, I was struggling to be available even for family, you know, because I'd go to the office and have a lot of my time consumed by ad hoc meetings, by narrow arguments, you know, working in the same vicinity with people like Limbikani who always have something to argue about, you know. So after that, I mean, and I would leave the office generally around 8 p.m. almost every day. You know, just then have my dinner and I'm back at work to actually do the work that I was supposed to do, you know. So I appreciate that now I'm more in control of that time, and it makes me, yeah, because I'm a workaholic. Sometimes it doesn't always translate to more time with family, but it's easier to do that now. You know, like, so for example, my weekends, last weekend I actually visited my in-laws and stuff. It's something that I had not done in a long time.
Yeah.
But the second thing that I just want to bring up, I mean, as a manager, remote working helped to contextualize conversations with people that report to me, that deliverables are deliverables. I think Limbikani hinted on this when he spoke earlier on, that, you know, when you're in the office, so sometimes I'd be looking at maybe something that's supposed to have been done and it hasn't been done. And then I walk into a room where the people who were supposed to do it you walk in and everyone is on their laptop tapping away and they look so busy. So the moment you walk in, you start feeling like a jerk to say, no, these people are busy, you know, so perhaps
I'm like, can't you see I'm working?
The deadline was not fair, you know, and so you check yourself and you're like, hi guys, and you exit, you know. So activity becomes the measure. Without knowing it, I mean, you say in words that, I don't know, guys, we only care about results. It's not about what you do. But as a human being, seeing people look busy, it has an effect, you know. But working remotely, there's no such thing. Eh? It's the relationship is all about the results. To say, hey, this was supposed to have been done. It hasn't. No, I had to take my kid to school. Well, yeah, you know, you should have known that you have that, you know. So to me, that has been a big aid. It has helped me as a manager a great deal. I don't know if it makes sense.
I
Yeah,
think
it
it
makes
does
sense.
make sense. And I think even at an individual level, you also increasingly judge yourself by the output, because no one is there to see you not work or see you work. So whatever your output is your output. So you get to realize sooner rather than later if there is a problem. It can be a personal problem where maybe the space that you have allocated yourself is just not conducive. Maybe there are more distractions at home. It's not everyone that has a home where the distractions are less. So maybe you need, because remote working doesn't mean working from home, isn't it? You can work from anywhere. So maybe you need to change your environment, but you can see that much faster as an individual, allowing you the opportunity to fix it. You can't lie to yourself because you feel busy discussing the latest technology at a technology company, and that feels useful, and yet in reality discussing technology is not part of your output. It's not part of your required output.
Yeah, we used to have a lot of those, isn't
it?
Yeah, I mean, you get a bunch of people that are excited about technology, that in fact that are together because they love technology. They love internet technologies, and they love writing code. And I mean, an example is yesterday I came upon something interesting called Stack Blitz, where you can deploy code with one click from your web browser to GitHub and Google Cloud Platform and stuff, and start writing your app. I think within 30 seconds you have deployed, which is quite amazing. And I just sent off a message to Rufaro, and I said, hey, I saw this and it's quite interesting. And then I went on to do other things. I didn't wait for his response because I didn't need him to respond immediately. In fact, I didn't need him to respond. In the past, I would have excitedly jumped from my desk, go and find Rufaro, tap on him and say, stop what you're doing. You need to see this amazing thing, man. And he would look at it and I'm sure honestly, if I explained it, he would see that it's amazing. He would be frustrated that I stopped him from working, but he'd be like, oh, flip, that is interesting. So does it do this? Oh, no, it doesn't do that. So that's a bad thing. But the positive is this. And before you know it, you're discussing for another 15 minutes. And the cost
and
of
you're like, let's go make some coffee in the kitchen.
Yes, while we talk about this. And the cost of that 15 minutes is about an hour and a half or something like that. Which is, before you know it, you've really put in just 2 hours instead of the 8 hours or so that you think you're putting in. Rufaro. So you asked about experiences, and Rufaro.
Yes. I was fiddling with my headphones. They ran out of battery. But yeah.
Okay. My experience is mixed. So I have had a lot of difficulty working remotely. But it's mostly in terms of how it is exposed. That I've always had difficulties working. It's not. So, well, I didn't know, but yeah, I don't know if scatterbrain would be the appropriate term, but yeah, my mind is all over the place, so I get easily distracted. So, and I think I've discussed this with you a couple of times now, actually, where you are saying, I love my time presented as a blank canvas, no constraints and stuff. Where I am sort of the opposite. I want, or I need so many constraints. I need to be put in a box
Box.
and give me. Yeah, it sounds like so inefficient, but that's actually how it works for me. Like honestly, I want to be put in a box, be given very strict constraints in terms of time, very strict constraints in terms of tools available to me, very strict constraints in terms of what I can do. Like uh, I should feel that I can't stand up, because if I get excited by something, I stand up. That's just what I do. If there's no one to tap and say, let's talk about this, I stand up and just start pacing around the place, and I'm like, flip, flip, flip. And then I see something else, and I see something else, and I see something else, and the day starts moving, getting consumed like that. So the difficulty, therefore, is realizing that, oh, flip, I didn't get any work done, because really it's just me. And therefore, trying to structure my day, structure where I work from, realize that I can't just work from any room. I can't just work from. Sometimes I shouldn't work from home. I should work from a cafe, or I should work at someone's office, or I should work where I'm surrounded by a lot of people and I have my headphones, and that acts as a constraint. Or I should work from my car. Sometimes that actually is better than working from home. But loving it big time, because yeah, offices have never been a thing for me. I've always worked from home. Yeah, since about 12 years ago. I just had the advantage that the office was at my home. So yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, you've actually introduced something. I mean, the downsides. I don't know where you wanted to go with the conversation, Faro.
That's where we're going. Yeah.
The downsides. So to me, it's it's the basic human things. Missing people, you know, and even that interpersonal communication, it has its place, eh? You have to be more deliberate in your communication if you are remote, because you can't pick up certain signals as people speak and as you interchange. So there's that, and also adding people to the team in a remote setup, so it gets them it takes them some time to adjust and to get to know who the other team members are, and even for the people who are already there to actually accept, because we also had this thing where when we went remote, there was a group that was already familiar with each other, that was seeing each other at the office every time. So to translate those relationships into a remote setup, it's easy. But then when someone new comes in, there is the real risk of this old group just being a clique, because this person really is an outsider. They've never met them in person.
Yeah.
So even when you are communicating on chat or whatever, there are certain jokes that are contextual. This person doesn't get them, so they are always on the back foot, and there's no established trust already. So actually, I had that experience too of my subordinates were clashing when they were supposed to be working together. Actually, they were co-members of the same team. But one was new, the other was not. So there was no concession from the old person to understand that, you know what, this person doesn't have as much context that I have, because they haven't seen this in operation in a physical world. So they're jumping into something completely new, which is remote working, and then into new relationships that they actually, in this person, the new person actually is from outside Harare. You know,
Yeah.
so it gets to be tricky in that sense. And yeah, if you don't manage it well, it can actually be poisonous. There will just be real distances, even in terms of relationship that form in the team.
Mm. Well, for me, the downside is how great it is having that flexibility. So I think it's a what you call it, a character exposing thing. That's when I realized, like what you mentioned earlier, that I'm actually a workaholic. So if we were going to the office, I would be tired, and because I'm tired, I never actually carried work home to that extent. But working from home now, I'm never physically tired because of commuting or things like that. So you discover it's 5 p.m. Yeah, you're supposed to be done like with your normal 8 to 5. But then you see me going, I'm 6, 7, oh, it's 9. And I'm still doing work. Because I think also the other problem is because I seriously enjoy what I do. So the boundaries are no longer there, like what Libigan was saying. So everything is now can just end up being work. It's a Saturday, you're at home because you're so used, like Monday is no different from Saturday if you're working from home. It's the same day to you. So you might just wake up and be like, oh, it's work. Yeah, let me get into work. But then I've realized, okay, I need to actually use this to my advantage where if it's a Tuesday evening and I have time, I go visit my dad, or if it's a Saturday, I do this with my friends and things like that because I'm able to do that. But sometimes, I'm buried in work until like late at night.
I imagine it's extra difficult when you are single, like you are. Hint, hint, audience, ladies. I mean, yeah, because with me, like that temptation is always there, and I cross those boundaries a lot. You know, like you just it's midnight and you're still working, and you've been working since morning. And I mean, you're just giving yourself an excuse that I'm here, you know, like so. But having, you know, as a spouse, like having a wife in my case, kind of helps because she will express that, hey, dude, you, yeah, you're not here, you know. And so I mean, I imagine when you're single, it's so difficult because there's no one who is, you know, saying to you, hey, dude, you must stop.
Yeah.
You guys are speaking of waking nonstop as a bad thing, and I'm like, Flip, what's wrong with these guys? In fact, in my mind, in my mind, you know, when Var is saying, I went from 5 o'clock, I'm still waking, 6, 7, 8. Why no, it is 9. I'm like, lucky bastard. Enjoy while it lasts. I mean, it's like what Walter White said to JC the other time when JC was quitting, and he was like, being good at something and enjoying it is a rare thing. It's a rare thing, and that makes it a special thing. And I remember when I was single, and I was writing blog posts on Techzim, I would just keep on writing or reading about whatever is the new thing that I want to write about that I don't understand, and I'll do that until I collapse. It'll be like I wake up maybe 4 or 5 a.m. and I'm just going through Techzim and some sites, and I'm finding something new and going through emails and checking who is sent what tip and what it is about. And then before I know it, it's 11 p.m. and 12 p.m. And I'm like, flip, I haven't even taken a bath. um, and you're just grabbing snacks and just keeping on and keeping on. And maybe around 1 a.m., 2 a.m., you really just collapse. You're on the couch and you have a laptop and you doze off. And then you push your laptop off the couch and you sleep. And half 4, 5 o'clock a.m., you're up and you pick up the laptop. And look, honestly, I miss it. I know there's a health angle, there's like a social angle, you know, you have to have a healthy social life, but I miss it. I honestly do. As unhealthy as it sounds, I miss it.
Yeah, so I get you, you know, but it actually brings back to the reasons why we did this, and it was one of the things that we actually talked about, that we also want to promote that you know, balance even in our lives as members of a team, to say, hey, you know what, there's also a life out there for you to live. So it was an objective. I don't know, it looks like remote working makes that objective even harder in some parts. But yeah, but there's always that contradiction, you know, and I think what we miss, Limbikani, is the freedom to know that I can do this, you know, because there are days when you know that, you know what, I need a week of non-stop work. But when you are now married and you have certain responsibilities, it may just not be possible. So I don't necessarily think that, you know what, it's healthy to keep at it. And you know, at time I think we did it. I did that just to be working all the time. But you look back and you realize, it may not have been the healthiest, and sometimes you get to burnout and things like that. But yeah, I think what we miss above all is just the knowledge that, you know what, I can choose to do this for a straight month, non-stop, and it will be cool. Now it's a bit tricky.
I think actually doing it as well. I don't know how related it is, but there's always an example that you used to point out in Asia when people were acting normal in abnormal times. Someone wrote to us, I think something had happened in Zimbabwe, and we were blogging as usual, and we're blogging tech articles. I think you remember it already, is it?
Yeah.
and they said, guys,
inside joke.
game is burning, and here you are telling us about technologies that are exciting and new. Can you just step outside yourself and look around you? And in a way, in terms of what we do and as a media business, and in terms of our mission in getting information to as many people as possible, and getting that information to be useful and information that can transform lives and what's happening around them. I look around and I'm like, and I'm not speaking about it in a Zim sense where Zim is broken right now. It's a crisis. It's as bad as it's worse than it's ever been, I think, post whatever period. But it's a mess. And so when I think about it in terms of working nonstop, yes, there's the efficiency part of it where you say sometimes diminishing returns. You've worked for 18 hours and you're making more mistakes because you just love keeping on going at it, but you're not at your best anymore and you need to rest your mind. But assuming efficiency, um, when I look around at the place where we all are, especially as a continent, and especially when you look at the internet as a tool and you say, oh, flip, this powerful tool. When you look at YouTube and you say, oh, flip, this powerful learning tool. And you look at all these things that you can use, that you can do because of the internet and because of information technology and PCs and hardware. And you're like, flip, this is not a normal time. I cannot act normal. I cannot be work-life balance. And I am at the same time, I am for work-life balance. But you're like, no, yeah. Let's just be at it. So why I say oh, flip, lucky bastard, is because I'm like, that guy can do that. and I have school run, and I have the need to just be there. I have all these things that you have to do in Zim. Once you're married, whether you're female or male, there's just all these obligations, extended family, like you're saying, international visiting, and just making sure that you somehow cocooned from all this madness that's going on around you, whether it's the water crisis, it's the Zesa crisis, it's the education crisis, it's the health crisis, it's the energy crisis. You have to get fuel and you have to stop and do that. A guy or a girl who's an individual and they decide to just work, who's single, I mean, they don't really have to go and queue for fuel. If you think about it, they don't have to look at their child's day and the homework and say, oh, flip, I have to contribute or I have to step in. Government schools are literally dysfunctional right now. So people that have children have to be their teachers as well. People don't have clean water, so they have to do all these things. So yeah, without going on and on.
You've already gone on and on.
Sorry about that. I realized it too late that I was going on and on.
Yeah. I guess you're saying bye now, right?
Yeah, this is a good place to end it.
Okay, bye. This is Tinashe.
You say bye, Rifigani?
No, I was saying already.
Yeah,
you're supposed to say bye.
5 seconds left.
No, I just thought, sorry for just dragging it a few minutes longer, but I just thought of questions that people may ask about why we went remote, and if that is panned out to be it. In terms of cost, I think people that ask are usually saying, is it cheaper to go to do remote working? In terms of time, so just quickly giving the responses to that. In terms of time, yes, it is.
So Livigani ended up just going on like usual.
Impossible for us to say thank you for listening and to say proper goodbyes.
Yeah.
So
I
guess this is us saying that, isn't it?
Yeah, this is us saying thank you guys for listening. And yeah, do give us feedback, any questions that you have. And the call is always open. If you want to be part of the podcast, we're happy to have you.
Okay, and by the time this is uploaded, it should be Valentine's Day, or it should be after?
Valentine's Day.
It'll be Valentine's Day. So happy Valentine's Day. Show some love to the people in your lives. One way to do that is to actually send airtime that says "I love you." How do they do that, Fufaro?
So they save the Techzim WhatsApp number
+263 717 684 274, and then you send the message
684-274. Okay.
Yes, and then you send the message love, and it will tell you how to do that.
Just WhatsApp the word love to that number that Rufaro just gave you, 0717 684 and
274.
the last 684-274. All right. Yeah. For some reason it refused to stick to my head. But yeah, thanks guys for listening. And please do forgive Limbikani for not saying goodbye. We just cut him.
All right, bye.
Bye.